How to reduce screen time without losing your mind. You check your phone, you blink, and then an hour is gone. It happened during breakfast, at work, in bed. You want to stop, but it feels impossible. This isn't just about cutting screen time, it's about taking control of your life back. In this video, I'm gonna show you exactly how I cut hours of my screen time without deleting every app or going off the grid. If you're tired of feeling distracted, anxious, or like your best time is being drained by screen, stay with me. You ever look up and you realize you just lost an hour to your phone? No value, no progress, just scrolling. That used to be me. I wake up with goals and I still waste time before I even move. I wasn't learning anything, I wasn't growing, I wasn't resting, it was just noise. Every time I felt bored or overwhelmed or low on energy, I reached for a screen. Not because I needed anything, just for a hit, and it added up. I stopped being present with my kids, I skipped workout, I didn't go outside enough. I started pushing things off that actually matter. And I knew exactly what was happening. The screen became my reflex. Any pause in the day, I filled it with my screen. And the more I did it, the worse I felt. Not just mentally, but physically. I felt slower, less clear, less confident. And the worst part, I wasn't doing anything about it. I told myself I cut back. I told myself I only use it for work. But those promises didn't mean much when I felt tired or I needed a break. That's when I asked myself something different. Not how do I stop, but why am I even reaching for it to begin with? That question changed everything. So let's move into what I've tried and why most of it didn't work. Once I knew screen time was a problem, I did what most people do. I looked at my phone's screen time report and it shocked me. Seeing hours broken down was a gut check. At first, it helped. I paid attention, I tried to cut back, but it didn't last. I fell back into old habits very fast. Then I downloaded apps to block distractions like the Freedom app. I set limits, timers, schedules. It worked temporarily. But since I needed screens for work, that line got blurry. I would unlock my phone for something for work, but then I would drift back into personal apps without even noticing it. I started depending on willpower. But if you're tired, you're burnt out, or bored, willpower ain't gonna do much. I would override the blockers, I would check something quickly, and just like that, I was back in the loop. None of those tools fixed the real issue. I didn't have a system. I had a collection of apps and rules that I kept breaking. The reason I kept slipping wasn't because I didn't care. It's because I didn't change my environment. Once I stopped relying on self-control and started changing how easy it was to get distracted, things finally shifted. So let me show you the change that actually made a difference. What changed everything for me wasn't a new app or trick, it was distance. The farther the phone was from me, the less I used it. I started leaving it in the other room while I worked. It's not in my pocket, it's not on my desk, it's just out of sight, out of reach. That one change cut my screen time in half. You're still gonna feel the urge to go reach for it, but I also removed every app that wasn't essential, no YouTube, no social media. I turned off notification, grayscaled my phone, and my home screen just had nothing to tap on. Then I layered blockers, multiple ones, apps that made it annoying to open, anything that wasted my time. Not because I didn't trust myself, but because I didn't want to keep using my energy to resist. And at the same time, I tracked my action. My calendar became my scoreboard. Every task I finished, I marked it green. Green meant focus. Green didn't mean I wasted the day. The days I stayed away from the screens were the same days I crushed it at work. I spent time with my kids, I exercised, I made progress on my goals. Friction made that possible. Not motivation, not guilt, just making the wrong choice harder and the right one easier. But even with less screen time, I had to fill that gap with something better. Otherwise, the old habit will return. Once I cut screen time, I felt the gap immediately. Not using my phone gave me space, but I didn't know what to do with it at first. That's when I saw how much time I had been avoiding myself. I went back to pen and paper. I started journaling again. Not long entries, just enough to clear my head. Writing gave me clarity that the phone never did. I also cleaned up. It sounds simple, but putting things in order just made my mind feel a bit more clear, more lighter. The dishes, the laundry, the trash, no screens, just movement around the house. I started reading real books again. Not on the screen, so I don't have to scroll, but like real physical books, one page at a time. It was slower, but it felt better. I was more focused and more calmed. I spent more time outside with my kids. We walked, we played, we explored. There was no plan, no agenda, just presence. I let them lead and I just paid attention to them. I worked out again, nothing fancy, I just moved my body around. That gave me more energy and made screens just less tempting. What surprised me was how natural it all felt. Once I filled the gap with the right things, I didn't miss a screen. I had something better to do. But even with the momentum, I knew I needed something else to push me when I started slipping. I needed a challenge. Once I got into the rhythm, things felt easier. But that comfort made it easier to slip as well. That's when I had to add pressure. To stay consistent, I tracked everything. Every day, I stayed focused and I hit my goals. I marked the calendar green. My calendar was full of green blocks, not for show, but for me. I wanted to prove I was in control. I treated it like a game. One slip didn't end the day, but it reminded me to reset. The goal wasn't perfection, it was momentum. Screen used to pull me in. Now I'm the one that's setting the rules. Challenge like these gave me something to chase. When I made progress visible and habits hard to break, the old distractions lost their grip on me. At this point, I wasn't trying to quit screens, I just wanted to use them with intention. That shift made everything click. I never wanted to live without screen. I just didn't want them to running my life. Once I stopped treating the phone like a reward, everything changed. Screens are tools. They help and hurt depending on how we use them. The problem starts when the screen decides what gets your time. Now I use tech on purpose. I block what wastes my time. I track what matters. I build systems that help me win, not lose hours without noticing. It's not about being perfect. Some days I still feel the pull, but I don't rely on willpower anymore, or at least less of it. I rely on structures and system. I keep my phone out of reach when I work. I use downtime to journal, clean, read, or something out of the screen. I challenge myself every week, and I give myself room to breathe without checking anything. When I do use my screen, it's intentional. That one shift made me more focused, more present with my kids, and more productive across everything I care about. The screen didn't change, I did. And now I decide when and how I use it. You don't need more motivation. You need a system that makes focus easier and distractions harder. Once you build that, the result speaks for itself. So once again, you don't need to quit screen. You just need to own your time. And watch the next video right here to learn more tips and tricks to help you in life. Thank you.